Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive into all things crypto. Today we're going to be taking a look at this market report from Crypto Deep Dive, hot off the press from November 26, 2024.
Yeah, this report is packed with insights, everything from those crazy daily price swings we all love to some serious political maneuvering, and even a country mining Bitcoin with volcanoes, you know?
Volcano Bitcoin mining, that's wild.
It is, right?
Okay, well, let's start with the basics. The report kicks off with Bitcoin at about $94,200. Have you seen Bitcoin jump around before?
Oh, yeah, we all have. But it's interesting to see how Bitcoin keeps holding on as the top dog, even with all the volatility. It says something about its staying power, don't you think?
Totally. But then we see Ethereum hitting a 4-year low against Bitcoin. What's going on there? Is
Yeah.
this just a temporary blip, or is a power shift happening?
It's definitely something to keep an eye on, that's for sure. I mean, Ethereum's been huge,
Yeah.
especially with all that DeFi and NFT stuff blowing up. So yeah, if this trend keeps up, it could change the whole landscape.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Ethereum? Have you thought about adding it to your portfolio?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, to be honest. But this report also points out some altcoins making some pretty big moves.
Oh yeah.
Stake Cubecoin, for example, it surged a crazy 112%. That's pretty incredible. Do you think there's any real substance behind these huge gains, or is it all just speculation pumping up the price?
Well, I'd say it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
You've got some altcoins out there offering real innovation and utility,
Right.
but then there are others that are purely driven by hype and speculation, just riding that wave. It's a good reminder to be cautious and do your homework before you jump into any investment, especially in crypto.
So even with these crazy surges, like with Stake Cubecoin, it's better to spread your bets.
Exactly.
Now the report talks about Ripple dropping a cool $25 million into this pro-crypto super PAC, Fair Shake. What even is a super PAC?
So a super PAC is basically this political action committee in the U.S. that can raise like unlimited money to support or oppose political candidates. So in this case, Ripple's kind of flexing their financial muscle to try and influence these crypto regulations. Remember, they had that whole battle with the SEC. Well, this donation is a signal that they're not backing down from that fight.
It's fascinating how they're trying to really shape these regulations in their favor.
Yeah.
They had a partial victory against the SEC earlier this year on their XRP cryptocurrency, but it seems like the fight for clarity and innovation in crypto was far from over, huh?
Oh, yeah, this is just the beginning. I think this donation is a strategic move by Ripple to try and level the playing field for crypto businesses like them.
Now, what about Bitcoin's price long term? The report mentions Standard Chartered predicting a short-term dip before Bitcoin could hit $100,000. So should I buy the dip or what?
Well, Standard Chartered's banking on institutional adoption and scarcity to drive that long-term value. What do you think about that strategy? Are you thinking about holding on to Bitcoin for years, or are you more into those short-term trades?
Honestly, I'm still figuring out my own investment style. But it's fascinating to see how all those macroeconomic factors like inflation and central bank policies, they're all having an impact on the crypto market. It's not just this isolated bubble.
Definitely not. Crypto is increasingly intertwined with the whole global financial system. So understanding those bigger trends can definitely help you make better decisions as an investor. And it sounds like you're on the right track, learning about all these different angles.
I'm trying. Okay, well, this report also dives into Solana. It seems like this one decentralized exchange called Pump.Fun is handling a whopping 62% of all the transactions there.
Wow.
Isn't decentralized finance supposed to be, well, decentralized? This feels a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the dilemma, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have this really impressive success story with Pump.Fun, but it does raise those concerns about over-reliance on a single platform. What happens if there's a technical issue, or even worse, a security breach?
Right.
It just really highlights that need for a balance between growth and true decentralization in crypto for sure. What are your thoughts on this? Does it make you hesitant about using Solana?
It definitely gives me pause, for sure. I mean, if the whole goal is to build a more open and accessible financial system, then having one platform control so much activity, well, that seems kind of risky, right?
Absolutely. It's a debate happening across the entire DeFi landscape. As these platforms get bigger, it's going to be crucial to make sure they stay truly decentralized and resistant to censorship.
Okay, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about mainstream adoption. The report mentions a pretty big milestone. 7 million adults in the UK now own cryptocurrency.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a pretty big number.
It really is a sign that crypto is moving into the mainstream. But there's still a lot of uncertainty around regulations, even with all this growth. Like the UK's Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, they acknowledge the growth but also keep saying there are risks. It's like they're trying to walk this tightrope between encouraging innovation and protecting investors.
Do you think most governments are taking this walk the tightrope approach to regulation?
It seems that way, yeah. Governments all over the world are wrestling with how to handle crypto. Some are more open and welcoming, while others are, cracking down.
Mm.
It's a complicated issue with no easy solutions. It's really interesting to see how this all plays out, though.
Okay, let's jump back to DeFi. The report talks about Flare, this blockchain platform, and how they're trying to tackle the problem of liquidity fragmentation. So what exactly is liquidity fragmentation, and why should we care?
So imagine you're trying to move your crypto assets between different blockchain platforms. It's like going through a maze, all these roadblocks in the way. That's liquidity fragmentation. Your capital is basically stuck in these isolated pockets, which makes things inefficient and harder to access.
So Flare's like building a bridge between all these isolated islands of liquidity.
That's it. They're building this decentralized DeFi hub that connects different blockchains, enabling smoother transactions and essentially unlocking all this cross-chain liquidity. It's a huge development, don't you think?
Yeah, it sounds like it could be a game changer. I mean, more liquidity is crucial for any financial market, and making DeFi more user-friendly could really get more people on board.
For sure. It's a great example of developers actually trying to innovate and solve real problems in the crypto space.
And speaking of innovation, El Salvador is taking their Bitcoin love to a whole new level. They're now actually leasing volcanoes for Bitcoin mining using geothermal energy.
It's bold. It really shows how committed El Salvador is to Bitcoin. And using geothermal energy is a good way to address some of the environmental concerns about Bitcoin mining. Do you think their approach is innovative or just a big gamble, especially with all their other economic challenges?
Well, it's certainly a gamble, but it's also really exciting to see a country embrace Bitcoin in such a, unique way.
It really is. It's like a real-world experiment. Will it pay off or will it backfire? We'll have to wait and see. But it definitely puts El Salvador on the map in the crypto world.
El Salvador really going all in, huh? But let's go back to those market dips for a sec. The report also mentioned Dogecoin and Solana taking a bit of a tumble, both with like double-digit losses. Do those dips make you nervous, or is this just, another Tuesday in the crypto world?
Well, it definitely reminds us that crypto can be a wild ride, that's for sure. Meme coins, like Dogecoin, they're fun and all, but they're mostly driven by hype. And when that hype dies down, prices can correct pretty sharply.
So it's like the party's over and everyone's running for the exits.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, Solana, on the other hand, it's a more established platform, but it can be pretty volatile too.
So those big price swings, both up and down, they're just part of the game with Solana.
Pretty much, yeah. This particular drop, I think, it could be a bunch of things. Maybe some profit taking after that recent rally, or those concerns about its reliance on that 1DX we talked about, pump.fun, or even just some general market jitters.
Sounds like a perfect storm for Solana. But how do we, as investors, avoid freaking out every time we see a dip like that?
It's all about zooming out and looking at the bigger picture. You got to ask yourself, what are the fundamentals of the project? Is there a strong community behind it? Are they still innovating and building?
So just because the price dips doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad investment.
Exactly. If the underlying project is solid, a dip like this could even be a buying opportunity for those who are in it for the long haul.
Solid advice. So let's talk about the regulatory landscape for a minute. Governments around the world are still kind of figuring out how to deal with crypto, right?
It's a tough one, for sure. They're trying to protect consumers and prevent illegal activities. But at the same time, they don't want to stifle innovation or push the whole industry underground.
It's like walking a tightrope.
Exactly. And we're seeing all sorts of approaches, from outright bans in some places to more open and welcoming stances in others.
It's almost like a patchwork quilt of regulations, with each country kind of doing its own thing.
That's a great way to put it. And all this uncertainty creates both challenges and opportunities for the crypto industry.
It's like the Wild West of finance, right? Pioneers and outlaws, everyone trying to make their mark.
And just like in the Wild West, there will be winners and losers. The key is to be adaptable, evolve with the changes, and never stop learning.
So what does all this mean for the future of crypto? Where do we go from here?
Well, it's hard to say for sure, but I truly believe that crypto is here to stay. The technology is too powerful, and the potential is just too vast.
But it's clear that the landscape is constantly shifting.
Oh yeah, constantly. New trends like DeFi, NFTs, the metaverse, Web3, it's all emerging and evolving at an incredible pace. It's an exciting space to be a part of.
And as investors, we need to stay informed, be adaptable, and keep learning.
Couldn't agree more. The crypto world never stands still. The only way to succeed is to embrace change and evolve with it.
Okay, let's circle back to those NFTs for a moment. They're more than just digital collectibles, right? This report highlights how NFTs are evolving beyond just the hype.
Definitely. We're seeing this shift away from just speculative trading. People are starting to see the potential of NFTs for real-world utility and building compelling narratives around them. Platforms like RI Chain are a good example. They're focusing on creating intrinsic value and real-world applications for NFTs.
So instead of just a digital picture, you might have an NFT that gives you access to, like, exclusive experiences, unlocks digital content, or even represents ownership of a physical asset.
Exactly. It's like the difference between buying a baseball card because you think it might be worth something someday and buying a ticket to a game because you actually want to experience the thrill of being there.
And the focus on storytelling is interesting too. By embedding narratives into NFTs, creators can enhance their value and connect with the owner on a deeper level.
Yeah, it's like each NFT becomes a piece of digital art with a backstory, a history, even a personality. It's not just a random image anymore, it's a unique piece of digital culture.
That's a great way to put it. This evolution suggests that NFTs have a more sustainable future, one where they're not just about speculation, but about creating new forms of digital ownership and expression.
For sure, it's a really exciting space to watch.
Speaking of exciting, this report also dives into China's complex relationship with crypto. They just reaffirmed that cryptocurrency is legally recognized as personal property, which offers legal protections for holders.
That's a big deal. It clarifies the legal status of crypto ownership in China, which has been kind of a gray area for a while now.
But here's the thing. While they recognize crypto as property, they're still keeping that ban on trading and mining, so you can own it, but you can't really do much with it.
Yeah, it shows the tension between China wanting to embrace the potential of digital assets and their need to maintain control over their financial system. They're definitely wary of things like capital flight and money laundering.
Do you think this approach makes sense, given China's unique economic and political situation?
It's a tricky situation, no doubt.
Right.
China wants to foster innovation, but also needs to maintain stability. It's a delicate balancing act, and it'll be fascinating to see how their approach evolves over time.
So China is kind of a mixed bag when it comes to crypto. What about the bigger picture, the global landscape? Are we seeing any clearer trends emerge in how different countries are approaching regulation?
We're seeing a whole spectrum of responses, from outright bans to full-on embrace. Some countries are taking a wait-and-see approach, while others are actively developing regulatory frameworks.
It's like the whole world is running this massive experiment with crypto regulation, each country trying out different approaches to see what works best.
Exactly. And the results of these experiments will have a huge impact on the future of crypto.
Well, we've definitely covered a lot of ground today, from those crazy market trends and regulatory hurdles to the evolving world of NFTs and beyond.
It's been quite the deep dive.
It feels like we've just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
So much going on. But with all these different trends and challenges, what are like the key takeaways for our listeners?
I think the main takeaway is that this space is constantly evolving. The
Yeah.
prices are up and down, regulations are changing, and new trends, well, they pop up every day, it seems like.
Yeah, it's definitely not boring. So, how do we keep up with all these changes? How can we stay ahead of the curve?
You have to be critical. Don't just follow the hype blindly. Do your own research, question everything, and be ready to change your mind when you learn something new.
So, like that old saying, don't trust, verify.
Exactly. In a world that moves as fast as crypto, you can't just take things at face value.
Yeah.
The decisions we made today, they're shaping the future of crypto.
That's a powerful thought. As we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want to leave our listeners with? Something to think about as they navigate this crazy world?
I'd say, remember, you're not just watching this happen, you're a part of it. Your actions, your choices, your investments, they all contribute to shaping the crypto space. So be informed, be engaged, and above all, be responsible.
Great advice. I want to encourage everyone listening to keep digging into the topics we've covered today. Do your research, join those online communities, and hey, don't be afraid to ask questions.
The crypto world is full of surprises. Keep learning.
Absolutely. And until next time, happy investing.